Dublin and go long haul. But that doesn't augur well for the level of service that Cork are able to provide. Now, I know there are many, many international destinations. You can fly to Charles de Gaulle from Cork and connect onwards from there, and other airports as well. But when I had Pat Dawson, who I think is the president or chairperson of the Irish Association of Travel Agents, I asked him honestly, could you honestly answer me the question, Pat? Are more people leaving for business and on holidays from Cork Airport or from Terminal 3, which is what I've christened Patrick's Quay? And he honestly couldn't answer.
Yeah.
Says they're not going that route this year and they're not doing the route. You have to go to Dublin. He goes every year but says the route is not on this year, and we are emailing Aer Lingus about it, and we'll bring the response to air as soon as we can, Eamon. But
I'd appreciate that, because they're not communicating with people. If there is going to be no service, then that's what they should be saying clearly, so people know where they stand.
Yeah.
But it's disappointing, given the fact that I tried to support, like other people, tried to support the company by taking vouchers and tried to support those jobs in that company. And now they're not providing the service when the airport is going to be reopening to foreign travel after the 19th of July.
Yeah, but they can't be viable on half-empty planes either.
Yeah, but that is a viable route at that time of the year. They'll fill the planes. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. I don't know. Is there another motive for not providing?
Well, I think, I'm not an expert on aviation by any means, but I think you'd probably have to have 10 or 12 viable routes at least to station, $100 million aircraft in Cork. It's not going to survive flying up and down to Alicante every day.
Absolutely, but with the rest of Europe opening up, surely the airport would be in a position to, even for whatever number of weeks it is, 10 or 12 weeks until the middle of September, to provide services and connectivity to more destinations out of Cork, even on an interim basis until the runway is done, and continue thereafter with those services.
Yeah. We did the hotels, gave them a shout out yesterday, and we're going to be doing probably some of the pubs over Friday and Tuesday. Obviously, Monday's a bank holiday, and I'd really like to hear from pubs who have developed the outside area and are opening, under new kind of conditions on Monday. We'd love to hear from that, and equally.
Sorry, lads, I'm just waiting on him to pick up the call there. So hopefully it'll be on there in the next couple of seconds, hopefully once they finish this piece.
Your listeners is of the opinion that there's going to be no service.
Yeah, says he knows they're not doing the route. You have to go to Dublin. This guy goes every year, or this lady goes every year.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure is it male or female, but says the route is not on for this year. But we'd appreciate any clarification from Cork Airport, or indeed, as we have requested, we'll get something from Aer Lingus, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Cork Airport this morning. They weren't able to either confirm or deny whether that route will be operational this year.
Hang on a second. I work at Cork Airport. I lost my job April last year. I haven't been called back to work since, so I'm assuming it'll just be Ryanair for the rest of the year. Looks like we won't be back until next year. I imagine there'll be a huge resumption of services over the Christmas period, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd imagine there would be. But that's very disappointing for that worker who's looking to get back to work, even if they were able to come back to work until the runway started up again, or the runway work was completed. It'd give them some little bit of hope, because they've been out of work for a long time. Mm-hmm. I just think that route is viable. Certainly is viable moving forward, but even for the 10 or 12 weeks up to the middle of September, they'd fill the planes. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. It's just disappointing from Aer Lingus. I feel left down, especially when I and many other people supported the company by just taking vouchers instead of looking for a refund.
Yeah.
I feel the company are leaving down the people of Cork and the Cork region. Very much so.
Is the company essentially Irish anymore, though?
Well, it's not Irish anymore, but they're providing a service to the people of Cork, and they have a moral obligation to resume that service when people have taken vouchers off them, with the expectation that when travel was safe, when it was safe to travel again, that they would be able to redeem those vouchers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, again, if people have to get on a bus to go to Dublin Airport, what's the point in having an airport up there? They might as well just close it down if it's not going to be operational.
Well, there's no one more than me would love to see a thriving Cork Airport. It has suffered from lack of destination availability over the years, and I know the likes of Kevin Cullinan are battling to increase the destinations but I mean, everybody has been hammered by this pandemic.
Everybody, and especially the aviation industry and tourism,
Yeah.
and tourism. So if there's no connectivity out of the airport, into or out of the airport from lots of destinations over the summer, then obviously there won't be any tourists coming in.
Well, I suppose from Aer Lingus' perspective, Eamon, they're going to say, look, your voucher's relevant for 5 years. We will be back in Cork. You will be able to go to Alicante. For now, under the current restrictions, if you want to go, you'll have to go.
Just to give you a heads up as well, guys, there's going to be a bit of a time delay between like what you hear and what you're seeing. So my mouth is going to be moving out of sync. So I might actually even just switch off my video just so it doesn't annoy you, just so you can hear the audio as it's happening, okay? So you should still hear the audio coming through fine.
Okay, so that's from July 19th, maybe August, September, until the airport closes and hopefully gets back up into full capacity and full operation for the Christmas season. And hopefully we'll all be able to welcome visitors home this Christmas season as well. Okay.
And absolutely, because I think the post-pandemic, it's important that the routes and the connectivity to major destinations is resumed, because otherwise there's going to be implications for the business community and for tourism in the city as well.
Okay, Eamon, thanks for that.
Thanks, Mick. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye-bye. Change of subject now and back to the maternity situation. Thanks for holding, Martin.
Yeah, thanks very much. How are you, Mick?
You had an experience at the maternity hospital. We had our Cork South Central TD, Donnacha O'Leary, on with a very personal experience there, which he was very tearful about yesterday and very emotional about yesterday in Dáil Éireann. What was your experience there?
Well, my own experience is I brought my partner up to the hospital. She was receiving her first scan, 3-month scan, and after that happened, she experienced quite serious discomfort and excruciating pain even, where she was unable to urinate, and she ended up having to be kept in the hospital afterwards for a number of days, and I wasn't able to visit her at all within the hospital. Now, she was able to come outside the door of the hospital to collect stuff, but I wasn't allowed in at all to be there. I wasn't allowed to be there either for the first scan, which is quite an important one. You get to hear the baby's heartbeat and get to see it move around on the screen. I was there for all my other kids' ones, and I wasn't allowed there.
Sure, and as Donnacha O'Leary said, we're presenting from the same household, the same bubble, if you like. We present the same COVID risk together as we do separately.
Yeah. And there wouldn't have been anything I wouldn't have been unwilling to wear to protect the others around me, to go in there, in terms of masks. If they wanted me to wear the N95, if they wanted me to wear a hazmat suit, I would have jumped in for it to be in there.
But, of course, you're now going to make a comparison, maybe an unfortunate comparison, but one that rings kind of hollow nonetheless. What happened next?
Yeah, well, what happened afterwards was this happened at the start of the month where the scan was and my partner fell unwell, but not long after that then I was required to attend a court case inside in Cork City Court for €10 worth of cannabis. And when I went in there, the scene was a rather scary one in light of the pandemic that we're currently going through. At the time, we weren't allowed to go to mass I think the number was restricted at 15. But inside in this courthouse, there was well over the 50 people, I would say close to 100 people, inside in a small, packed type corridor. They all gathered down at the end of the corridor. No ventilation. There was one doorway in, and then into the courts. I made a number of Gardaí aware of my concerns at the time, and none of them were actually willing to to do anything about the breach of the COVID guidelines that was taking place there at the time. So I went down then to the court reception, also made another complaint there, and they too were unwilling to do anything about it. They just said, look, that's the way it is. And I couldn't just comprehend that, a week before I wasn't able to go into a hospital all gowned up and protected, but meanwhile it's totally fine to go up there into this high-risk environment. Now, I've a partner who's pregnant, I've other family members who are vulnerable. I take care of my great uncle who's in the vulnerable at risk category too. And I was made go into this unsafe environment over €10 worth of cannabis.
I thought €10 would be discretionary at this stage, is it not?
It should be, to be fair. Like, they should treat it like if they're to punish it at all, like a speeding ticket at the side of the road. Here's your fine, go pay this, and no need for the courts, no need for criminal convictions either. Like, I currently have a criminal conviction, which is making me less employable, despite having an honours degree and soon to have a master's as well. It's still difficult for me to get a job because of my criminal conviction, my criminal past.
And is that criminal conviction for drugs going to stop you going into America, for example, for life?
It already has stopped me. I was due to attend an international gathering of students as part of the Students with Sensible Drug Policy. I was the chairperson of the society in CIT, where I done my honours degree in herbal science, and I wasn't able to attend there. And I was also to attend the UN a special assembly on narcotics, which was to take place in New York also that time, and I was prevented from doing that also, simply because I was caught with a little piece of cannabis.
€10 worth.
€10 worth.
What do they call that, a nodge?
A nodge, yeah. A tiny amount. I have 3 criminal convictions for personal possession of cannabis. I was very unfortunate. I grew up in the Glen. I hung around up there with my cousins and things, and we were unfortunate.
It's not unfortunate to grow up in the Glen, by the way.
No, it's unfortunate in my case that
in
I
your
was
case,
targeted more by the Gardaí because of the area, whereas I had friends from other areas of the city, Montanati and things, and like not that far away, and they were left alone, and they were getting up to the same stuff as us.
Yeah.
Just maybe we were dressed differently.
Okay, you're familiar with J. Randolph Hearst. Do you ever hear of him?
I do, I have, yeah.
And that's where this whole Reefer Madness campaign came from, because the Mexicans found that hemp, which is the marijuana is Mexican for hemp, could make ropes, could make paper a lot cheaper than forestry. But J. Randolph Hearst had invested millions, if not billions, in South American forestry, and needed that material to run the newspaper empire that he had. And so he started a kind of derisory campaign called Reefer Madness. And politicians, I suppose, maybe were or not in his pocket, who knows, but they were influenced by this campaign, and so came the criminalisation of the use of marijuana, which has now since been proven to be so medicinal and so harmless, really. And, I know you're going to get the it's a gateway drug and it's going to lead you down the road to, eventual addiction. But I think the world is finally coming to see that there's more good in it.
I'm delighted to hear that you're up to speed on this, and you might be also aware that there was a recently abandoned student who won an award there through Teagasc for his work. He's a secondary student on the potentials there of the cannabis hemp plant as a sustainable crop for the Irish farmers, and there just needs to be more investment there into the
cannabis hemp is being grown here legally under licence. For medicinal purposes and for making of oils, and I am familiar with that, and it's not something I use myself, but I am aware of the criminalisation of it and the history of how that happened, and the skittle effect and the domino effect it had on other governments. When it was really a millionaire just trying to protect his forests to make his paper.
Yeah, and not also at the same time you would have had the introduction of some very powerful painkillers, and they also, the cannabis was competing with these too. What's came out there recently is that it's almost 96% effective in helping to treat childhood epilepsy, at reducing the severity or the number of seizures that the kids would experience. that just came out there yesterday from Professor David Nutt over in the UK.
I mean, look at Ava's story that's been covered, very extensively here, and what her mum Vera went through and all that. Anyway, the upshot of it all is you have now a drugs conviction for personally having a nodge worth €10 worth of cannabis, and that can't get you to fulfil the potential of your honours degree, I guess, Martin.
Exactly, and to fulfil my duty to my kids also. I would love to be able to provide for my kids, but I'm limited in my ability to do that, and it's not fair in them. There's so many unintended victims here of this war on drugs. My kids, and including Farah and all of the other people out there, prevented access to what is shown to be a very effective medicine.
Okay, so you couldn't get into the maternity hospital even if you wore a hazmat suit, but no problem banging you into court in a crowded condition to put a drugs endorsement on your passport for €10 worth of cannabis.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, gotta leave it there. Martin, thanks very much.
Thanks.
Cheers, bye-bye. It's coming up on 13 minutes to 12 now. We're back in a moment with a great story about a long, long walk.
So there you go, guys. That was an enjoyable conversation, actually, for once. In fairness to him, he was very up to speed on the history there around some of the people involved in making it criminal. I really enjoyed our interview, and I thought that was a good one to get out there. While it originally started with this morning, Donegal Lera was on there talking about his experience as a soon-to-be father, where he was restricted in going into the hospital because of the COVID pandemic. But I was just bringing up the fact that, I was also prevented in going in for my child's first scan, and I wasn't prevented to go into this court, crowded, packed full of people, at risk of contracting the virus, spreading it around. Like, aren't we supposed to be reducing our contacts and all of this stuff? Like, so I just saw fit to just remind RedFM there this morning of my past experience there in the court, and comparing it to my other experience with my with myself and my partner not being able to go in together, to be there together through the scan. Even when she fell ill afterwards, I wasn't able to be there at her side up in the hospital as we would be. We're always there for one another. So it's an unfortunate situation, but I really enjoyed getting to go on there with them to highlight that, and I'm glad that Mick was able to bring up some of those other comparisons there as to the potentials that were being denied with the cannabis plant in terms of its industrial purposes, and not only its medical. While the medical is huge and invaluable, but the industrial one is incredibly valuable. So yeah, like as I'm saying, you can't put a value on the price of medicine, really. Like, the price somebody would pay for to protect a loved one is nothing. But in fairness, like when it comes to building a house and stuff with hemp products, like, yeah, that you can certainly put a value on that. But yeah, guys, I see lots of comments coming in there. Much appreciated, everybody. And Dylan, what's going on, Dylan? WRT Gunner, Jessica, nice one, guys, for all your comments. Stone DJ, Teresa, Podge, Man Falls, Kenny Tynan, what's going on, Kenny? Good man, great interview. Hope your missus is feeling better. Yeah, she's doing much better now. As I said, that was at the start of May. That kind of whole thing unfolded. Thankfully now, yeah, she's doing much better, and yeah, hopefully very soon I'll get to welcome a son into the world. I'll also be equally happy if it's a daughter, but we've done that twice already, Podge 85 saying that's amazing to hear how up to speed and respecting he is on the issue. Yeah, he is, and even, he talked about the texts that are going to come in, the Reefer Madness texts, it's a gateway drug and all of that, people are, tired of that now. There's a certain breed of people who are dying out now, they're being changed and they're just dying out, who believe this kind of nonsense, and it's going to be the younger generations now that are going to be making the change, hopefully very soon. Other comments there, didn't expect this, hello all, shouting in the bucket, what's going on, and the Constant Gardener, what's going on, yeah, Nice one, everybody, for tuning in, and all of your kind comments there. Joe Hartnett saying, well done, Martin, you spoke very well, good man. Surprised he knows a thing or two about it. You've done bits, Martin. Yeah, that's it. Like, I think that this conversation has been going on for so long that we're definitely educating these guys over time. But, just keep on doing what we're doing out there and just making more noise, stronger together. Our community is growing. We are getting stronger. We're getting more recognition as the days go by, so don't let this don't slow down now. Let's keep on pushing, and let's fucking make maximum effort now over the summer. WRT Gunner, he says, I hope that this is the first of many interviews with that radio station leading up to the legalisation. Yeah, I'm more than happy to pick up conversations with him as well, and I'll be like, that's kind of a radio station we would have on here in the morning anyway when the kids getting ready for school and all of that stuff. So if I hear an opportunity to text in, I'll always take it. And so Renewable says, remember years ago up on the north side, Martin, where some people used to be selling diesel hash. Can you explain more about this, please? Yeah, that's something I talked about a few times on the show, man. That was a big problem at the time. I don't think it was exclusive to the north side of Cork either. I think that was like a all Ireland kind of a thing. But basically, I think it was more to do with how the hash was being snuck into the country. I would imagine it was being brought in diesel containers or something like that. Was the story we were led to believe anyway. But at the same time, there was other stories out there was saying lads were literally just taking bars, sticking it into a tub of diesel, and it was soaking in the diesel and adding to the weight. Like, I don't know. You don't know what to believe. Like, I would believe the former story there, as it was to do with how it was being snuck into the country. It was being hidden maybe in diesel containers, inside in boats or some shit like that, like where they thought that they had it wrapped up, like, but literally just the fumes would penetrate the packaging. And that would fucking leave that diesely tainted taste inside of there, like. So I don't know, that's what I would have believed more than lads were soaking it, like. But who knows with these criminals out there. A diesel and plastic laced hash. Man, I can remember that actually with some of the hash that we used to get, that you'd be like burning it off the nodge, and next all of a sudden, you get a fucking like a Mickey drip coming off your nodge, like, there'd be a piece of plastic just inside in the nodge, like, and you're like, what the fuck, like, for fuck's sake, like, ridiculous, man. Rocket fuel, stoned Egypt. So yeah, guys, I was glad to be able to share that piece with you, and I'm so thankful as well there for RedFM for being able to pick up on that story and give me the opportunity to get that out there to people. My own experiences with the court, as a cannabis consumer, I felt that was rather unfair to be put into such an unsafe environment when only weeks previous I was denied such a delightful experience, but of going to witness my child on the ultrasound scanner. So yeah. Tuning back in from the Ukraine. What's happening, Peter C? Peter C, we're just about to sign off there anyway, but you'll be able to catch back. I was live there on Red FM having a conversation about my court case and my partner who's pregnant and our experiences there with the hospital, and comparing the two with the COVID guidelines. So yeah, check it back there once I'm done in a sec. Are we adding nodge to our dictionary? Never heard that one. What's going on, man? Falls, you never heard of nodge? Stop. It's hard to sense the sarcasm there in your comment. Are you being sarcastic? I would imagine you are. Like, come on, surely that's like an all Ireland thing. Surely, like a nodge. Surely is it, that's not just a Cork thing, is it? Hardly. But yeah, lads, I'm gonna sign out there, or sign off, and leave you to enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I'll be back with some more 420 news tomorrow at 4:20, guys. So as always, guys, stay blazed and keep her lit. Much love and peace.